Sunday afternoon. I'm sorry,
Afternoon.
sir. It's your boy T the Chef in the Know Podcast. My right hand man, Jaycutta.
Fries, Pepsi, Coke, fries, Pepsi, Coke. What's going on, y'all? What it do? What it do?
Hey man, we appreciate y'all chiming in, jumping in on this Sunday afternoon because we be running, but we got to stay more consistent. So we had to get in here today. How you feeling? Everything good?
Yeah, everything is.
Everything is everything.
Yeah, as good as to be expected.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Nice outside today too.
It is real nice. It's real nice. I almost just kept riding.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's my turn. Turn the windows down, you know what I mean? I'm driving. I'm looking crazy out there.
Right. But yeah, man, man, it's time to break out the grill.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to my man. Don't throw me away because I'm gonna get my grill from you.
My BJ.
Yeah, man. You know, don't throw me
I'm
away,
telling you,
brother.
but hey, you better call him and get booked because this is season, boy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be snow on the ground by the time you get it.
I'm calling him tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm calling him tomorrow.
Yeah, you know.
Before call tomorrow.
BJ, I'm on the way. Right.
But real deal.
But yeah, man. But today, I want to jump into. I know you hit me with an awesome topic last week. I thought it was probably the best one I feel that we've done because it answered a lot of questions for people out there who don't know, in a sense, how we came together, what the mission was and all that. So
Right.
that was pretty cool. So this week, I just want to talk to you about the differences between rich and wealthy, and also elaborate on the mindsets that it takes to achieve actually either one. Okay, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna let you expound on that.
Yeah, when you hit me with the topic, I thought about something. When you're creating wealth, you're also creating rules. You're also creating standards. You're also creating boundaries. You're basically creating a whole nother code of conduct for you and whoever else is affiliated with the wealth. And it leads into the inheritances and just putting people in place. But my whole thing was this: as you're approaching like higher levels in finances, whether it's acquiring land or whatever the case may be, the thing we have to remember is, number one, if you're gonna be the leader of it, stay the leader. Don't come down to the people who you're trying to pull up. You have to always remember, as some moments it's gonna feel like you're being cold. Some moments it's gonna feel like you're being, how would you say, kind of like
You don't care.
just like you not compassionate. Okay, like you don't have any compassion for their situation or wherever they are. My thing is this: like people who gain higher levels of finances, they can't be concerned with the ones who aren't concerned about the higher level of finances. See, when most people think of wealth or rich, they think of something far off. And the reasoning is you got to distance yourself. And it's like, we don't want to do that because we hate to be looked upon as not popular. A lot of us don't care anymore. Especially once you get 50, you don't care. Shout out to the 50-year-olds that do their thing because they want to. It's like, the popularity contest has to leave in order for you to gain those top levels.
Gotcha.
So it's not about what's popular; it's about what's working. And to move to another level, even if you never make it to being rich or wealthy, from your situation and from what you know and have seen, what is the maximizing point to where you can be comfortable enough to have a mindset similar to a rich or wealthy person? Because you can maximize your situation and be fine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And still be able to leave something for your kids.
Right.
Or, still be able to make that thing happen. But it's like sometimes things are looked upon as so high and so far up that we don't even contend with where we are. So if you maximize where you're at, you can get an understanding of what being rich and being wealthy is. Because that's just simply being comfortable in your living, doing whatever you want to do, because you did what you had to do.
Gotcha.
So that kind of gives you a feeling of what it is to have that money.
Yeah.
Because you made the decisions, you know what I'm saying, when it counted, to get yourself in a comfortable enough position to where you're not worried about bills. You're not worried about if someone in the family needs something. You're not worried about if an emergency comes up.
Right.
Those are all things that break our walls down, shatter our.
Yeah.
It shatters
something,
life.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
something
saying?
tragic happen.
Yeah.
Water heater go out and you just like,
transmission. Oh my
Right.
God! You say you
yeah.
hit all the buttons on the phone. You did,
Right.
So
And I'm with you on that, man, because you look at it and I think so much has been put out with all these so-called gurus that get on Instagram or all these different social media platforms and try to convince you that that is rich. You get what I'm saying? That you have to own the mansion, or you got to own the exotic sports car, the big boat to be considered rich. And that's just not the case.
Right.
It's just like you said, you really are operating in your situation at the highest of levels without being in debt. And I think that to me is like, okay, I get it, and I can do everything that I want to do. I don't really owe anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I feel like going on vacation, it's not gonna break me to go on vacation.
right.
And like I said, you could just make the moves that you want to. And then as far as the wealth part, because that to me is like being rich.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth for me is, first of all, having your health.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm spending X amount of money on, prescriptions and doctor visits and
Right.
and you know what I mean, you got certain type of surgeries you gotta have, all this, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so first in mind, get your physical health, your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
all that in a line.
Right.
And then I know it sounds like, what that got to do with me being rich? Okay, let's say it like this. Not only are you sick, but you got maybe some mental issue going on. You go in, scratch off for $1 million. You are not gonna make sense of what you're spending. You're gonna go absolutely bat crazy because you don't have a plan. See, the way it was always taught to me was always plan like you have the money. I didn't say execute. You get what I'm saying? But plan like you have it already.
Mm-hmm.
So that way when you get it,
You know what to do.
you know what to do with it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not, I hit the lottery, I got $400 million. What I'm gonna do? And don't get me wrong, I think everybody gonna splurge on something. But most of those lottery winners are broke within 5 years. Why? Because they just went out and started buying all kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
I was watching the show on, I forgot which channel it was. They were talking about past lottery winners. Dude hit the lottery for $42.5 million. I think he got somewhere around 27 after taxes. Okay, he just started buying swords and
What?
swords, and he had a mansion that was like ridiculous, and it was just him. He ain't had no kids, no wife, nothing. He was just buying stuff. You know what I'm saying? And now,
Wow.
and then they said 6 years later, he got to go back to work. How? You have no plan.
Well, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
You will perish without a plan.
So I feel like
So, yeah.
the rich part, I think that's really just about you living below your means that gives you access to either credit or it may be cash, access to do whatever you want to do in life without a strain.
Yeah.
Because I know people who, if you was looking right at them, you'd be like, okay, they handle their bills, they got, decent cars in the driveway, you ain't never heard about them, begging nobody for nothing or whatever. Now, if you look at what they drive, you can say, they not up there because they drove standard cars. It wasn't never no flash, it wasn't nothing exotic, anything. When you look at what they wore, they shopping at where everybody else shopping at.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So like I said, you look at them and you be like, okay, they always neat, fresh, on time. They just done a good job of not only maintaining themselves, but not having people look at them and say, oh, he got money. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you just flying underneath that radar. But then you really understand how much legacy they had once they, passed on, because they left money to everybody.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I think that's the part that operating the rich part. The wealth part is gonna allow me to let my children spend my money. You know what I mean? So, okay, with everything that we're inside of, it's gonna be cool if I'm alive long enough to see my granddaughter's kids have access to what I may be, So that to me that's the wealth part. It doesn't necessarily have a money value on it. Like I don't say, okay, well it's wealth when I get to 10 or $20 million. That's what's no. It ain't necessarily gotta be that. It ain't even gotta be money. We just like you said earlier, it could just be us transferring land.
Yeah.
And holding it. You know what I'm saying? That's that's wealth within itself.
Yeah.
So it's great to see certain people, especially like young people, who in a sense are mastering having it together.
Mm-hmm.
And getting their access to certain funds and the ability to go out and really just say, okay, well, I want to build this today, and there's nothing to hang them up from. They've learned, they've studied, they've got their finances together, built their credit, and they can just take off, And I think to me, that's better than anything, because the ultimate goal, I think, when it comes to this life thing, is not having to ask anybody for the day off.
Mm-hmm.
And people really can't understand it, but that's genuine. That's gold to me. That is a goal for me. I don't want to have to wake up and say, well, boss, can I take the day off? I want to wake up and be like, you know what, man? I ain't got to go in the office. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go get my granddaughter, we're going fishing. That's rich.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, because it's your language too. As much as we're wanting to hand down land and money and different things of that nature, we have to hand down the language.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you understand the language of money, then you can maintain you do not understand the language of money, you won't have it long. You know, like they say, a fool and his money shall soon depart. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get some knowledge of that. Like we was talking about earlier, the lottery winners. Unfortunately, the lottery doesn't come with a manual that tells you how to invest your money and keep it.
Right.
So no one looks at spend versus, you know, have, like, because you have to have a certain amount of money just to function. No one really adds in what you use for utilities, for food costs, clothing costs, stuff that you've always had to pay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes what we fail to understand is all of that stuff doesn't have to go up just because your finances go up. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to start buying all upscale stuff if what the stuff you were buying worked for you. You know, you could put that money, like we was talking about, into other areas to where it'd be more effective. You know, that's kind of
start working for you.
Yeah, like it really go. This is the thing. This is the funny part about us as a people. This is what's funny. The stuff we run from is the stuff that always is needed the most in our community. We run from knowledge, but it's needed the most. And what I mean by run from knowledge, we run from things that tell us different than what we think we already know. See, you know, that's why it's so hard to talk to us as a people, because we're know-it-alls a lot of times. We just are, just the facts. It's hard to tell us stuff unless you don't look like us. So that's another show. But we need to put more value on each other's words.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that right there is going to help build wealth itself, because we have good ideas. We have good thoughts. We have, you know what I'm saying? We have ways to make good money, solid money in our community, but we don't care enough about each other's opinions to even come together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It takes
down.
someone outside of our culture to point it out and pull
go,
that person. Right. They're like,
hey, well, such and such said.
well, you knew that the whole time?
But you're like, dude, that's the exact same thing I was telling you.
That's what we're talking about.
And I got it.
Yeah.
Just to stray off course real quick, I got a dude at work that's just like that, man. He'll come and ask me something. I give him the game. He'll go off and ask somebody else, and then come back to me saying, but that must be right. Cause such and such said it. Why the fuck you even come and ask me?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I don't know what I'm talking about, bro. Like, you know what I mean? But that's an irritate. That's pet peeve there, bro. But
I mean, it's a fact of our people. We just have to kind of, certain things you gotta accept.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It don't mean you have to tolerate them, but you have to accept them.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be around you,
Right.
just because of that. But I mean, it just some of the things we know. That's how our people feel about each other. Some of us are coming around to the point to where we're inviting in the ideas of brothers and sisters. We're inviting it in because we're trying to build that network.
Gotcha.
You know. So I mean, that goes and ties into your vision with this.
Yeah.
Networking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To be a bigger help on a bigger level.
But
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So my thing is this though. So is there anything that you subscribe to, read, any particular book, or maybe magazine or something that helps keep you in the mind state of the what I would like to call the bulletproof mindset of finance or in a sense wealth building. So is there anything that you read or maybe another podcast? I know I listen to Earn Your Leisure. I think them guys, personally, if I'm gonna sit down and take a hold of anything that's just coming in, whether it be stocks or just investments and stuff, how they move, I like listening to them guys because they just make a lot of sense, you know. But you know, it's just, you know, it's so much out there. You know, I listen to Wall Street Trapper when he on, you know, when he talking about the stock market, that, you know, that type of deal, and just you just getting them little tidbits of game from everybody. Whereas we didn't have that kind of access. Like I say, man, I think I had the best parents in the world. They taught me how to be a great paymaster. And basically like this, you pay your bills. If you borrow something from somebody, make sure you pay them back. If you don't have it on the day that you said to, don't run from them. Talk to them. Look, man, I ain't got it all. You know, you take this and I get the rest to you. That type of deal. So that taught me that.
Accountability.
But, you know, they didn't have access to learn about investments, insurance, all these different avenues that's been out here for a while. We was just in the dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The lottery for us was if you hit the ball ticket.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? And then somebody got some instant cash, but that was outside of that. You know, we ain't know nothing about no money.
Yeah.
You know, like that. So as we come along in progress, and it's really hitting us now. So it lets me sit down with my kids and be like, look, X, Y, Z. This is you know what me and your mama had to learn from. So I don't want you to have that, make that mistake. But if you do, here's how we're gonna go to get it out of it. You know, get out of it. And one thing I will say, if you feel like you can't make a move to get out of that trap that you're in. And I'm gonna tell you how bad it was in a sense for me, for us. We were using, or I was using, the payday loans, that type of stuff. Trying to rob people to pay Paul. And then it just stopped. Let me go a month without whatever this extra is, and you will see it turn around. There's stuff that you have to have, and there's just stuff that you want.
Right.
So if your finances are out of line, just stop. Take a month off. Realize what you really have to have. Now in that month off, this is what I want you to do. I want you to look. You can look it up on YouTube. And I know I've been promising for a while, but the zero balance budget will help you get all your money into line. First though, it's gonna piss you off because you're gonna realize how many subscriptions you're paying for, just unnecessary money that you're spending that's just coming out of your bank account.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You be like, man, I thought I had such and such in there. Then you start looking at these debits with stuff just hitting your bank account. You're like, man, I thought I quit paying for that.
Small.
Right. And it's a
pay
$9.99 here. It's a $12.99 here. Next thing you know, you broke. So it's gonna piss you off. But you're gonna get this in line. So in that month, start to pull all your finances, pull your bank statements together, go through, start highlighting what you do not need. Okay, and then you cut that off. Okay, so now I'm cutting off subscriptions, and then we're gonna go into making you an actual budget, just like you said. You know about how much you spend every week or every 2 weeks when you go to the grocery store. So what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna start padding that into envelopes. You know what your gas envelope is, your food envelope. If you're taking out so much for medicine, you got so much. Maybe you got a pet, so they got to have food or care and all that kind of stuff. That's what you moving your stuff into. Then you got your actual bills. So we know, okay, on this first check every month, I'm paying your rent or your house payment. Maybe it's a car note in there, cell phone. These standard things that we all really just have come accustomed to using, because I don't know nobody who really can function without a cell phone anymore. Not that you necessarily want to play any fancy games on it. It's a necessary part of life because it's really a handheld computer. You do everything on it.
Right.
And then you start to what we call sinking funds. So your sinking funds are things that you are saving towards. Travel. Okay? For us, we got a line in there for our grandchildren. We have a line in there for our car maintenance. Everything is divvied up into an envelope. And what you do is you're gonna take that check and you're gonna divvy it up so much that you're trying to put something in each one of these envelopes. Pay your bills and get as close to zero as you can. So then what happens is, if you're steadily doing that, and it ain't gotta be no big leaps, just steady doing it, I guarantee you, whenever that emergency comes up, you got it. You ain't gotta go fumbling with no payday loan. You ain't gotta go fumbling with no finance, no loan company. You got it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And you'll see how to get out of this. Like I say, it'll be 5 years in July when we got started. You know, I've been paying for, Christmas in August. Instead of waiting here, and then I'm waiting on a bonus check from Word and scrapping and all that kind of stuff. I'm just being transparent. That's how we got out of it. And it has allowed us to do a whole lot of, more stuff. So it gives you that illusion of feeling rich.
Yeah.
But it's because I do not have to go ask anybody for anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I ain't gotta go chime into no bank or no loan company, and in turn you become your own bank. Now you got all this divvied up. Everything got somewhere to go. And now, okay, well, my car broke down. It needs such and such parts. Go into the car maintenance envelope. Well, I got a cover right here. I ain't got to bother nobody. Don't pay the man. Then you start replenishing. You know what I mean? That type of stuff will get you on that road to financial freedom. You know what I mean? Or at least, like I say, having the ability to be your own bank. You can take care of whatever you need to whenever it comes up, or you want to go and do something, you ain't scratching.
Right.
And you can do that with any paycheck. I know, dude, we know what groceries is. Groceries is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, out of this world ridiculous. To the point, I'm seeing more and more of my neighbors with flower beds. They raising, my neighbor 2 doors up from me, man, she been killing us the past 2 years with vegetables. We gonna take them, you know what I mean? Because squash and cucumbers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, why am I going to the store when I can plant it in the backyard? I can take care of it myself. Yeah. And it's really gonna have, that's the way we all gonna have to go back to it.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. Matter of fact, having that green thumb and standing out in your yard, watering your plants is probably relaxing to a lot of people.
They used to it.
Yeah. Now everybody having a competition about who got the best garden. Yeah. Like, man, hey, a potato is a potato, bring it on.
Right.
So, like I say, man, it's ways to get out of this, and ways to make yourself, like I said, make yourself your own bank. You don't have to, and then it starts to give you that financial freedom. I ain't got to worry about it because it's right here.
Yeah.
And I don't, and it ain't no knock against, loan companies or whatever like that, but it's just the fact that if I gotta go get a loan, that's something I gotta pay back. But if I just take and manage my money, then the only person I'm paying back is me. Right. And that don't come with no finance insurance. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But it's a mindset, and I just wanted to get your insights on what that looks like for you.
Yeah, they say it's upping your level of discipline. That's really all it boils down to. You're upping your level of discipline. You're being more intentional about what you do, what you spend, where you go, how you go, who you entertain, how many people you waste your money on, different things of that nature. It just basically puts more value and more eyes on your money.
Gotcha.
On your spending and on your investing, whatever you're doing, and whether you're investing in yourself, whether you have a business or not. It's just just make sure that money spent is money that can be turned. You know, and I think that helps out a lot when it comes to gaining finances.
Gotcha.
That's just my thing. It's just learning. It's just we learned late.
Yeah.
Some of us. I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for me. Learned late. So it's like, you know, people say, oh, you have time to, no, you don't. So you don't have time to keep messing up. You don't have time to keep repeating. You don't have time for that, actually, because it's not you in your lifespan that you're worried about. It's the status of this place that we live in that you should be concerned about, because it's messed up and it's getting worse. So like the worst, let's just kind of balance it this way, and this is all I have, but the worse society gets, the more disciplined we have to be.
True.
Let's look at it that way. Every time you turn your TV on, you see the news, you see something going on, you see something that's causing more inflation, you see something is taking hold to cause change that's going to affect you. That requires more discipline on your behalf. That's all it does. It's basically, if you look at it, the Father who controls everything is fine-tuning us by the fire. So he's making these things shake up to wake us up and get our discipline levels up, and we be better people about our stuff.
Gotcha.
You know, so that's going to help us, you know, at the end of the day, get together with those like minds and have what we're supposed to have. You see what I'm saying? Because we can have it together as like minds, but we just have to filter out the ones who don't have like minds and stop feeling guilty for filtering them out. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta let them go. That's how they think. Let them be.
Let them know. Yeah.
Let them be. Don't try to change them.
Yeah, but and like you say, it ain't no hate. It ain't no none of that. We just two folks going in the opposite direction.
That's all it is.
And hey, bro, I got love for you. Yeah. I'm gonna be over here. You know what I mean? You do your thing. You know what I mean? keep it going. You know. So I'm with you on that one, man.
That's my take on that, though. So.
Okay. Well, that's what it is. And I appreciate your insight, because like I said, you know, we think alike, but sometimes it takes asking the questions to get it out, because this may be something that you're saying that I just needed to hear, because I hadn't heard it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like we talk about,
first,
you know, and sometimes it's you know, it's going to be those things that's going to make us uncomfortable, but they're also going to make us grow. Because, like I said, we know what we know, but I got so much I don't know.
Right.
And I have no problem telling you, I don't know. You know,
Right.
I ain't looking to fight to be the smartest person in the room. I want to learn just like everybody else. And that's cool, Cutter. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you delving into that with me. And
Sure.
I think we're gonna move to the next episode, and but like I said, I appreciate your insight, and for this episode, we're gonna get out of here.
All right.
That's cool too.
Pause for the cause.
Pause for the cause. Hey man, thank y'all for chiming in on TikTok, and we'll get back to you in a little bit. Thanks.
Stay strong. Stay